the hay and green grass growing. Here come the goats, there is no slowing. They've got the kids in tow. Come on and see the show. The pigs will slop and roosters crow. It's our hometown rodeo. Excitement never stops while the animals jump and hop. Join the show just after 7. Watch us in our animal heaven. Wake up with goats and chicks. Come feed the cows all their grain mix. Join the show just after 7. Take a head count with the crew. Come take a pic. Just watch for the cows 'cause they might kick. In Pennsylvania. Hey, how I do it to me. Hope is around some storm. We're never ends. We can't eat the garden. Yeah, the pigs hide on the lane. The ghosts eat the weed. Watch us in our ghosts and shit. Come out with the cows 'cause they might get.
Are we having issues? I saw somebody say refresh. Refresh. How are we? How are we? We're falling over. Oh, we're falling over is what we're doing. How about now? We still choppy? So stupid. Are we any better? Good morning, everybody. Sorry about that. Technical glitches. Let me know if I must refresh again. All right, so you're probably wondering what I'm doing. And I'm trying to get myself prepared because the Eastern PA Homesteading Festival is coming up. In just a few short weeks, I have to have... Oh, Starlink, who said that? You're out. You're out. Get rid of them. Of course, it's Jeff. Goodbye. Goodbye. Oh, man. Anyways, listen. I'm inside my garage, and I'm getting my tools ready that I need to make my own longbows. Yeah, that's right. Now, I'm not going to make them during this live stream because I obviously still need to get everything set up. And I got the bare basic tools that I need, the bare basic woodworking tools that I need to make the bow and arrows for the Eastern PA Homesteading Festival. Oh, what does this say? Hard to tell if we're still good or not. Comments are still trickling through saying refresh. Cock-a-doodle-doo! Fine, we're good. All right, just a slight delay, and some people on catch up, I guess. On catch up. So let me explain. In my past life, I was I made bow and arrows. I was a bowyer, B-O-W-Y-E-R, a bowyer. And that's somebody who makes bows. And that's what I did for a living. And I had a pretty good system and a pretty good gig going on. And I gave it up in 2015. I unfortunately got into a car accident and I had that costochondral separation in my chest. Um, I had all sorts of issues with my right side, and the constant manufacturing of the bow and arrows really did a number on my body. And so after the accident, I realized, after about 6 months of therapy and whatnot, I realized I wasn't going to be able to do it anymore. And so I closed the doors, I liquidated the inventory, we sold the warehouse, and I was done. I was done making the bow and arrows. And then I moved on to um, home improvements and remodelings, and that's where I moved to after that. And that went on until the goats took off, and now I am a goat father. Life will take you down some crazy avenues that you just don't even realize. But back in the day, early on, I would set up at the Kutztown Folk Festival at one of my events with the bow and arrows, and I'd set up an archery lane, and I had 2 lanes that people could test shoot the bow and arrows that they wanted to possibly purchase. I was like this vendor, this crafter that had my bows on display, and then they could take it over and try it out. Well, I soon realized there was more ways to monetize, and what I did is I set up like apples with stickers on them and different little targets in the archery lane. And if they hit a bullseye, if they wanted to pay to play, and they hit a bullseye, they were able to win one of my longbows. And traditional archery is so difficult because it's a stick and a string. There are no sights, there are no pulleys, there's no let off. When you're drawing back 50 pounds, that's the full draw length. When you get to 50, when you get back here, that 50 pounds. A compound bow with wheels and pulleys has fancy leverages that allow you, once you get past the breaking point, then you're only holding 10 pounds. So, and then you have this little peep sight on a compound and this arrow rest, and everything is like super easy. And I never ever did get into compound archery. Traditional archery, in my mind, is something that just connects you with nature. I really enjoyed the manufacturing of it and the skill of shooting. It's called instinct shooting. You really just get to know your equipment. This is why it makes it so difficult for anybody who's trying out a longbow for the first time, and even if it's not theirs, and arrows. Because think about this, the Native Americans that you would use a stick and a string back in the day. What is Lauren? Hey, I'm over here. What do you need? What's going on? Is there secrets? Are you looking for Bentley? I feel like there's something going on out here that I don't know about. I don't know about something. What's going on? Sorry about that. I'm nosing in business that shouldn't have been mine. Listen, traditional archery is extremely difficult. It's an instinctive type. Do you like the emu? Did you get an emu too? Yeah, you did. I make my bows out of this. Here, I'll show you. I got So I've prepared. I've gotten myself some hickory. Now this hickory is from a board. This is not directly from a tree. I mean, it's from a tree because it's made out of wood, but I've had, there's a wood shop called Fleetwood Lumber that I went and got this material from. Back in the day when I used to make the bow and arrows, I would actually cut a tree down and I would meticulously scrape the bark off. And then I would, they call it chasing a ring. I would chase the ring down, and eventually I would get to the point where I could flex the piece of wood and turn it into a nice long bow and shoot it. But that's time consuming. And I soon realized early on in the days of making bow and arrows that if I bought lumber that was already cut square like this, I've opened up the opportunities to production, because now this is square stock. I can put this on a table saw. I can put measurements on it instead of dealing with following growth rings, and we were able to mass produce. That's how I was able to get myself set up doing this for a living, because I was able to mass produce these longbows. Now the game that I would set up was you had 3 shots. 3 shots if you paid the $5. And you get to shoot from about, I don't know, 15 yards, 10 yards at these different targets. And if you hit them and you hit a bullseye, you won one of the bow and arrows, which is a high value. The Eastern PA Homestead, aka Kutztown Folk Festival, I am setting up an archery lane there next to our goat snuggling booth. And if you hit a balloon or a target, you get to win a goat stuffy, kind of like a carnival game, but with traditional archery. It was my passion for so many years, and maybe I'm biting off a little more than I can chew by doing something like this, because obviously we're busy enough as it is. But I have 100% confidence. Well, no, I now have 95% confidence that I can make the bow and arrows still. I don't think I'm going to have time to make the arrows, but I'm going to make the longbows. And we're going to set up the lane, and we're going to let people take a crack at traditional archery and see how well they can do. And what I've got is some Harbor Freight tools that I grabbed up yesterday. I stopped by the lumberyard and I grabbed 18 board feet of hickory. Now, 18 board feet of hickory should yield me roughly, if you were to not have any waste whatsoever, 18 longbows. I only need 4. I only need to make 4. I think I can do that. I think I can do that. But this is it. This is the timbers and the lumber, and those are the tools that I got to get set up for making this stuff. Now you guys are on this different tripod that I have today. And I don't know if you extend or if you stay down or what you do. Well, apparently you don't extend. You're just stuck at one height. So back when I was doing everything, but making everything with a tree, it would take me, you could spend probably 6 or 7 hours manufacturing one bow. But if you do it production style and you're using modern day equipment and not using draw knives and rasps and things like that, technically I could make all 4 bows in just a few short hours. Will you have help at the booth for the bows? Yeah, we're gonna have help at the booth. And they've also contracted me out to do, what they have is like this pavilion, and at the pavilion they have guest speakers and people get to speak. So I'm taking on my first speaking position at the Eastern PA Homesteading Festival, where I'm going to be talking about goat husbandry. I'll be dealing with that, kind of talking about the just the care of goats, and then the function of goats, and then their their stomachs and all that kind of stuff. So 3 times a day for 30 minutes I'll be speaking, and that's 4 days in a row. So what is that? That's 12 times I get to get up and speak in front of people. Now, I can tell you this, it is so much easier to sit here and talk to 500 of you people right now. You people as in my friends, because I know you, most of you. Seen the names before. Than it is to get up in front of people. My daughter had me come in to her school to do a talk on goats. And when I went to her school and I was in front of her class of like 15 people, I was sweating. I was sweating. All right, so this here is called a benchtop belt sander. This is in lieu of what we called a draw knife or a rasp. This is basically a material remover. So when I'm trying to get the bow and arrow to bend or flex a certain way, I use this with a certain grit of paper on there, which will basically thin out one of the arms of the bows, allowing it to flex properly on that side. So yeah, this is a benchtop belt sander. Haven't used one of these in a long time. So let's see how it works. Let's test it out right out of the box. This is a Harbor Freight, $89. Let's plug it in. Comes preloaded with some paper here. Now, obviously, I don't have a stave to work with. That's what we would call that's what the bow was before it was a bow. It goes from a piece of wood to what they call a stave. And let's see how it works. Where's the switch? Back here. All right, it needs to track correctly, so it's kind of, the belt is kind of veering off to the left. Just a little bit, as you can see right here. We're gonna turn this thing right here, and perfect. Now the belt is lined up right there. There's a couple other attachments that you can add to this, like this thing here. There is this on the side, which I won't be using, but on the side of this here is a wheel, a disc and a wheel that goes on, and you can use it to sand stuff. I will not be using this, so this will go away. I also will not be using this. There's a stopper here, and I won't be using that. In fact, I'll probably be taking this guide off of here, because the guide, when I lay the bow flat on here and I rub it back and forth, I'm gonna hit this piece right here. That's something new. That looks like a dust collection port. Let's take that off real quick. We don't need that. We don't need them shenanigans. I actually cleaned up, which is kind of cool. The garage is somewhat clean so I can function and move. I'm sorry if you guys are not entertained by this type of content right now, but I have to get this stuff set up because I don't have much time left. I gotta just get moving, and I figured I'd show you guys. So we're just testing tool number 1, test tool number 2, and tool number 3, and then we'll go see the animals. Okay, I'm just gonna take that off, and then we'll actually sand a piece of wood or something. Now, the Eastern PA Homestead is only 4 days long, rather than the traditional Kutztown Folk Festival, which was 9 days long. So that's going to be pretty, that's going to be a breeze. All right, the dust guard is off, and now we have open concept. So, for example, let's take a piece of, I used to have a wood shop. I used to be able to grab something. There we go. let's sand my back scratcher, but let's not mess with the good part. The good part's up here. This is made out of bamboo. So we turn it on, and this is what a belt sander does. As you can see, now I use this part of the belt sander right here to do the fine tuning and shaping around the handle, right? And I use this part, the flat part, when I'm trying to thin out a piece of wood. Like this. And essentially, what I've just done is I removed a small thin layer of the bamboo off of there, allowing this to bend. Here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to take a single piece of wood and we're trying to make it so you can put a string on it and bend it like this. This is my mini bow and arrow right now. Right now we have a hinge. The hinge is in the middle and the stiff spots are near the end. And the idea behind what we're doing is going to taper the edge out. Let's go ahead and taper. Let's go ahead and make a little mini bow out of this. Let's pretend this is one limb of the bow right here. And you'll draw the string back like this. All right. As you can see at the tip, it's bending all right here. We want the bending to happen up here. And the reason why it's not bending is because it has no taper to it. It's not tapered here and it's not tapered there. So we're going to go ahead and taper this out and make this bend properly on this. This is the lifeblood of a modern bow and arrow. Now this is just a little piece of leather that'll just sand away. Now on the actual stave, I'm going to use a table saw to cut my tapers, so I'm not just trying to sand away a whole bunch of material. I'll cut away most of the material and I'll use this to fine tune it. But since this is bamboo and it's soft, we can do this. As you can see, it's tapering down. All right, now we call that a tip taper. That is the tip of the bow taper. And now there's a thickness taper. It needs to go. We already know the bending is happening here, and now we need to thin it out up here. We just hold that on there. Check our bend. It looks better already, but it needs to bend a little bit more near the tip. So we take off a little bit more. Now obviously this is going to be done on a larger scale. Now what's happening here is I'm actually distributing the pressure. Instead of taking all of that compression and tension that's inside the piece of wood and putting it in one spot, right where physically it wants to bend, I'm spreading it out across the entire length, which is going to allow the bow to be pulled back further and last longer and function faster. So now when I bend this, I want you to see the curve. Look at that curve. It looks so nice and smooth. We don't have, if I look really closely, I can see it's still, do you see the stiff area? Can you see the stiff area? It's right here. That's the stiff area. So right here is a little bit thick. I want to focus only on this spot right there. Now, the better I get, does one of those boards make more than one? Yes, absolutely. So the bows I make are 1.5 inches wide. And, you know, essentially, when I got this piece of wood here and I want to look at it down the grain. First off, there's also specifics I have to look for. This needs to be sapwood hickory. This needs to be sapwood hickory. The outer part of a hickory tree, the outer part of any tree is the newest part of the tree, which is always the strongest part of the tree. The inner part of the tree is pithy. Pithy meaning it's soft, its compression is really not that good. And so I need to make sure it's sapwood. So when I'm looking at hickory, it's pretty identifying. Brown wood right here. See that little bit of brown on the side? That's heartwood. That's the inside of the tree if you're looking at the growth rings. The rest of it's sapwood. So a little bit of heartwood is not a bad thing. But sapwood is springier and faster. And I want you to look at this piece. I just bent it and it's pretty much still straight. Wood has a memory, right? And so it remembers to go back to its original state. When you have a wooden longbow or any type of wooden solid wood bow, you want to take the string off of it so it doesn't remember to stay in the strung position. But when you take the string off, it always goes back to its straight profile. And that's where you're going to retain its performance in life, right? And that's why the string goes back to the front. When you pull it, it remembers. It's wanting to go back to its original state. So that's basically what we're doing. So the belt sander is used for tillering. Tillering is the process of actually bending the limbs. That is the art behind bow and arrow making. Anybody can make jigs, anybody can cut wood, anybody can cut the profiles and try to manufacture a bow. You can put it on a CNC, you can put it on a water jet, you can put it on a laser cutter. Don't matter. You can cut it however you want. But if you can't tiller a bow, this process right here, you're going to end up with catastrophic results. Because imagine trying to bend a piece of wood that only is bending right here over and over and over again. It's going to get brittle and it's going to break. And then you're going to have a problem. By the way, I am getting insurance for this lane. We have insurance lined up, so we're going to have an insurance plan. But yeah, this particular piece of wood, if I look at it, I'll put a tape on it, is 5.5 inches. So 1.5, 3. I can get 3 bows out of this, maybe 4 if I make one on the end grain. So I can get 4 bows out of this. And I'd say 3 tops. All right, and this particular, that's 11 feet. Hold on, I'm gonna show you something interesting. This was 5 board feet. But it was 11 feet long. So this is 5 board feet of material right here. Both of these pieces of wood. I had them cut it at the shop. So if I could get 4 or 5 bows out of this, let's just say 10, as a manufacturer back in the day, I would try to maximize my yield. So I would 100% make 10 bows out of this. And here's the profit margin for a bow and arrow maker, making bows out of hickory from lumber and timbers. This only cost me $4 per board foot. $4. So 5 board feet, that's only $20 in material. $20 in material times 10. So I had a product I used to make that was so profitable, and looking at the prices of things nowadays, it's really not that expensive still. I could still make a huge profit margin if my body could handle the production load of this, because this process on the sander, this process on the table saw, this process of tillering the bow, it all hinges on your shoulders, and it just can't. But hypothetically saying, if I were to make my U-finish bow, where I make the bow fully functional, I leave it a little rough, and I sell it to you. I used to sell them for $50. It was called the $50 longbow, U-finish $50 longbow. And if I could make 10 of these in, I don't know, I'd say about 3 hours, I could make 10 of them. That's a $500 gross profit. Net, take out the strings, whatnot, you're still making, it's a high profit margin. And if I were to even spend the time to sand it and seal it and finish it, you could completely increase your profit margins by quite a lot. But yeah, this is what I'm going to be working on. So the belt sander is number one. In lieu of buying a bandsaw, because I don't want to buy a bandsaw. I looked at the price of a bandsaw. The cheapest bandsaw that they have was $179. And that is that little machine or big machine that has this band of metal with teeth on it that goes around and a little table, and you're able to make curved cuts. You know, that is not a curved cut. That's actually steamed and bent that direction. So when I taper the bow limbs like this down to the edge, when I get to the handle, I need to fade cut that. And the way I'm going to fade cut that is with my brushless Hercules. Let's test it out real quick and make sure it works. This is just a tool testing. The reason why I went with Harbor Freight tools is because obviously I used to have Bridgewoods, and I used to have super expensive tools in the wood shop. We had three-phase power. Everything was pretty much set up for cutting hardwoods all day long. So this is going to do the same concept as a bandsaw. Not as easy and not as smooth, but I only need to make 4 bows. That's it, 4 bows. So let's test this. Let's test this one out. Grab ourselves a mess here. That's why I cleaned the shop yesterday. Listen, look at all these blades. You get every one of these blades for only $19.99. Sound like an infomercial. For $19.99 for this limited time, we will send you a 36-piece T-shank jigsaw blade set for your Hercules. Only if you act now. And if you act now, I'll throw in some styrofoam. So I'm going to grab myself one of these wood cutting blades, and we're going to give it a test. And the only reason I know this will work is because I've tried it before. I've tried it before. Wood clean. Let's get our blade out. I have wood and metal bits and all sorts of stuff in here. There we go. That is a great price. That is a great price for 36 pieces. So the way that these work is you drop your blade in here like so. I think you twist something. Let's see, what do? You twist something? How does this work? I don't know. Oh man. There's gotta be a way to get this blade in there. I've not done this before. Oh, it's got a fancy thing. Look at that. It's got a fancy thing. All right, take this, lift this fancy thing up, and essentially just slide your blade into the slot and let go. We're attached. We're good. Let's see what it does. Now, technically, I should be able to make curved cuts just like a bandsaw. So here we go. Ta-da! We made curved cuts. Super easy. Super easy. And now that you made your curved cut on your bow, let's just pretend it's a bow. You then can smooth everything out. Because there's all these blade marks right in here. And then you take off the sharp edges. Well, somebody just fell over. Stop drinking. Stop drinking. So that is a scalloped cut, and I use that to shape and form and work around the handle of the bow and arrows, okay? So that's that. And the last tool that I had to purchase that I didn't have because I already have the table saw was this Hercules cordless 5-inch orbital sander. Okay, let's pop the battery out. Throw this in here. And this has a handy dandy dust bag on it, so as you're sanding, you don't throw dust throughout the whole air. All this really small dust particles. And there. See those little holes in there? What do you think the holes are for? Somebody take a stab at that one. What do you think the holes in there are for? I spent 17 years as a bow and arrow maker to suck up that dust. That's right, to suck up that dust. Oh gosh, come on, come out, would you? This is Velcro, but the actual sandpaper has its own holes in it as well. And the way that this works is the motor spins inside, it's sucking the dust up and putting it into this little bag. And so what you want to do is obviously make sure that these holes line up with that, because if they don't line up, then what? Then you don't have airflow. Boom. So once the bow is fully working in its full condition, everything's bending properly and you're ready to go. I broke the tip. And the only reason I broke the tip is because there was a hole in there and it couldn't handle the pressure. That's all. But once everything is bending the way you like it and you think it's good, then at that point you can smooth it out, because all of these tools that you're using create saw marks and deep gouges in the wood, and you want to smooth it out. However, as you smooth out each side the same. If I take 10 passes with the palm sander on the left side, I take 10 passes off the right side, because you have to remove the wood equally. Alright, so what this does is smooths everything out. When you touch this part of the wood with your hand, it is rough. It can give you splinters. When you touch this part of the wood right here, it is smooth. And at that point, it's ready for some sort of clear coat or oil or whatever you want to use to seal the wood fibers in so the elements don't get to your longbow that you make. So that's essentially it. The only thing you guys missed out on is a little table saw work, and that would be taking this piece of wood and cutting it into strips for my bow. And that's going to happen later on. I just wanted to make sure that these tools all worked, everything was good, and it seems like that everything is good. So when we look here, that's what my wood shop looks like right now. It's not even a wood shop, it's a garage. It's a garage. And then, like I said, I got enough for technically roughly 18 bows, the way I considered it. Grain selection is a huge thing. That's going to come up. Handle placement's a big thing. So wood selection's a big thing. But that was my previous life. And my hand is being forced to actually manufacture, because to buy the bows on the open market right now, it's too expensive. I'm going to spend less building them myself. I'm going to get back into a hobby or a passion of mine that I used to love a lot. And I just think there's something nostalgic about going to the Eastern PA Homesteading Festival with product I actually manufactured myself. I don't want to go there with somebody else's bows and arrows anyways. It'll be kind of interesting and fun, and people ask a lot of questions. How long do you estimate it'll take to complete? I'm pretty sure I can complete all 4 of them today. I don't know, but it is pool day, so I don't know if this weather is gonna be conducive for swimming. I forgot. AM, PM. I saw an interesting post this morning where somebody asked, I may sound stupid, But without Googling it, what does AM and what does PM actually stand for? I, I stopped for a second and I thought, and I didn't know. I didn't know what AM PM stood for. So my title of my thumbnail is Ain't Morning and Pajama Time. Ain't Morning and Pajama Time. That's kind of what I came up with. Um, let's see. After midnight. It Chris Butler said she wants to buy a bow. Oh, I don't know if they're going to be for sale. Yes, and I did look it up. Ante-meridium and past meridium. Meridium meaning midday. They gauge it off of midday. Ante meridium is the Latin word for before, and post is after. So it's anti-meridium, post meridium. That's what it is. Or you can just say, ain't morning, or it's pajama time. Ante-mortem, post-mortem. All right, let's do a little tour of the barn, check everything out. Now there was a couple of hello. There's a couple other acronyms that I came up with, which I thought would have been equally as funny, and they are. Are you ready? Already miserable. AM could stand for already miserable, or because I'm in a goat barn, if I were milking goats, it could be already milked, or alarm madness because my alarm goes off all morning long, or just simply I ain't moving this morning. I ain't moving. Those are good AMs. PMs are there's probably more to do because there's always more to do. Past motivation because it's the end of the day and you're done. Pajama mode. That's right. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. I think that's it. Those are my already mad. Yeah, that works too. That does work too. All right, we are going to head out and go into the barn. I wish the rain would just completely stop. It's getting everything miserable again. Now, fortunately, with all of my stone and gravel, the drainage is working just fine, but it's still muddy. You can't stop the mud. Water hits the ground and it turns to mud, even if it is on a slope. I don't want to put stone and rocks all the way up here. Good morning. How are you, girlfriend? I was watching videos of you last night, jumping on the air mattress. Yes, I was. I was watching videos of you jumping on the air mattress last night. It was so cute. On the first half of the Angel Watch last night, we did memories. We did memories for about an hour. We went through old videos. We found air mattress videos. We found the teardown of the tent videos, and it was quite emotional and fun. I don't know. Maybe I'll post that as a clip. Don't you dare, Thomas. Don't you dare. Apollo's doing great, guys. Apollo's doing really, really, really well. Hello, Chippy. Hello, Chip. Watch it. My Ayan Samani, watch it. So we had a thought. And, well, my original thought was the hay feeders get full. They get really full, and I talked about this a bunch of times. And as they get full, if the hay feeder's too big or there's too much in it, they only eat off of the top. You put new fresh stuff in the next day and the bottom stuff just gets old and nasty. And so, oh my God, look at the birds run. Where's Taffy? Is these Taffy and Speckles are co-parenting these chicks together. They take them around the barn. They scrape up. There she is. Two are these two are coding. Hey, these little guys go. Definitely places, as you can see, they grab for that, but to drink. You gotta eat some food away. Anyways, as far as the hay goes, we have determined it's best. Eat them down to the bottom. This way, there's no chance of anything molding or piling up at the bottom and making somebody sick. So that's a new thing on the farm, is to allow the feeders to get empty, and that's purposeful. The problem is, tell me if we're better, because I did refresh. I did refresh. Tell me if it works now. Is it better? I see the refreshing. I see the words refresh, refresh. Okay. It is purposeful to allow the feeders to go empty. So if you guys are watching a live stream and you see that the feeders are empty, or one feeder is completely empty, that is done on purpose, because we're forcing the goats to eat out of the other feeders to get it emptied, so we're not just throwing it on the ground, eat what they're going to eat, and then start over again, right? Only getting 30% of words. Well, I mean, you could play the game of lip reading. Lip reading. Shania. Well, listen, I do have to leave now immediately, because 8 o'clock, 2 minutes, I have a phone call with my doctor. I got a phone call with my doctor, so I was kind of planning on jumping off here early anyways. So I will see you guys a little bit later, and you don't have to deal with my crappy audio anymore. See you guys. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.